out of context does look a little ridiculous, but to us, I think history has been much kinder to it. So I just think it was one of those things where people going to look at it and go, huh, what? And maybe it was the 1940s, 50s setting, what have you, the Howard Hughes fictional history element that just didn't draw people in. I think it was a lot of different things.
And add to the fact that it was sandwiched in between Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, and Terminator 2.
Yeah, it's decidedly different action fare.
It's like, but do you think there could have been some fatigue? Like, man, I was just at the movie theater watching Robin Hood, because that's kind of the demographic, right? Like
It is, yeah. You're not going to have too many kids, which is a shame, because this movie, and it's not its fault, it's hitting on a lot of different demos, right? It could easily appeal to kids. You've got even the little girl in the movie, and you got stand-ins for the young audience going, go Rocketeer, saves the day, blah, blah, blah. You root for him at a lot of moments, but you've also got the Nazis, right? Like, it's like, what kind of movie is this for? Is this really for, history buffs? Is this for people who long for the old serials of the 1940s, 50s? So, I think the problem it was for a lot of different people. It wasn't for necessarily one type of person, which I think at the time, early 90s, it isn't like the superheroes of today, which, let's be real, are made for just about everybody now because they can. They've taken their time and people have been introduced to these bigger, wider worlds. This was, I'm sure they had grander plans for a franchise, but let's be real, this might as well have been a bottle episode.
Yeah, and also if you think about it too, you have the audience, the World War II, the history buffs. But then they're like, it's a PG-rated Disney movie, right?
Right. How real can you possibly be with it?
Yeah. So then they don't want to see it, and then you have the kids who they love knowing that Timothy Dalton's a Errol Flynn knockoff.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And there isn't much rocketeering in the movie. If you think,
no,
and that's
really
the budget. I know,
well, is it? I don't know. I think that
$35 million was the budget, and with inflation, let's say that was $70 million. So yeah, you know what? You could have packed in some rocketeering in there.
I feel like that was I could be wrong. I feel like when I watch it again, as you have, it feels very thoughtful in the pacing. It's not a long movie. But the pacing that's there is very deliberate, at least in terms of how I feel about it. You could be very well right, and they had to cut some scenes for budget reasons, but the moments that you get are deliberate, right? You get the test on the field at night, and that's more of a slapstick bit, right? There's a purpose there. But the first midair stunt set piece, which I think holds up. It's a wonderful mix of green screen and real stunts in the air, and it holds up. And that first one, which we sort of amusingly, alluded to in the intro with the clown being saved, right? That's so well done. The music especially, and I'll get to that later, just it hits all the right notes. It swells in all the right places. And that first time he does that midair rescue, you're like, okay, I'm in for something special.
That poor clown.
And actually, now that I'm mentioning it, like, even in the beginning, it opens with like kind of a cool chase, right? It's like a heist.
Oh, these guys are on the guns.
Yeah, well, you got Tommy guns. You know exactly what you're in for. So it's also something I kind of identified because you don't usually open a movie like that and you're like, all right, what's the big old fuss? It's usually some sort of MacGuffin, right? It's some coveted piece. It's slightly mysterious. We don't know what it does yet. And for most movies, that's enough. Even Indiana Jones, which Joe Johnston worked on in part, The Ark of the Covenant, all that, and many other movies.
And Boba Fett.
Maltese Falcon. Yeah, no, Joe Johnston did help design the Boba Fett. But going into that, this is one of those rare MacGuffins that not only do you learn what it does, right? It's actually a pretty cool MacGuffin. Yeah. It's not something that falls by the wayside and isn't just an object for people to chase, which, the FBI is after, the mobsters are after, Neville Sinclair's after, spoiler alert, the Nazis are after, and Howard Hughes is after. Yeah. It's like, it's just a really cool tool. And it's not common that you see that in a movie.
It's not a MacGuffin. It's a MacGuffin.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
But it worked. Yeah, no. And I don't know. I love that opening chase though with the Tommy guns, and then he's calling them lousy feds.
Right. Yeah. Like clearly the most sinister law-breaking man that's the language he's going to be using.
These lousy feds, and then one of them gets killed, and I like that. They had to get the cop car off the road, but then the FBI guys came up and started shooting through them. They're like, oh man, we shouldn't have done that. And then also, I love when so. They're up in the air testing their plane for the Nationals. They're beautiful plane, by the way. Alan Arkin or Evie. Wait, I got his name up here.
I don't remember his name.
Yeah, he's a brilliant mechanic. But I love that plane. It gets shot down. Their plane gets wrecked, and they realize they can't work, and they might lose their hangar. Blah blah blah. But I love when Billy Campbell is yelling at the FBI agent, and Billy Campbell punches one of the feds.
Yep,
and then the guy,
yep.
and then
the
the guy
punches right back.
Yeah, the dude just socks him back. I love that. I think that's pretty good. So I guess it establishes Billy Campbell as kind of like a hot shot, right? And
then a hothead too, yeah.
Kind of a hothead, kind of like, like a pilot. Didn't they call him just like a, airhead? Or not really.
Well,
airhead.
Jenny says it best, right? She says he's rough around the edges, and you understand that he's sympathetic because they're on hard times and they're trying to make things work. But they got caught up in something that maybe they didn't ask for. But this plane getting shot down, so you understand why he's upset.
And he just socks the Fed, and then the Fed punches him back. He's like, "You're lucky you just got that." I thought that was a cool scene, right? I thought that built, and then I also really liked those Feds that were in the movie. I thought those guys were really cool. The two guys that worked for Ed Lauder, Agent Fitch, the guy who threw the punch. They're really good in this movie. So you have a bunch of side characters that are quite memorable, I would say. I don't know if you agree.
I think they move the plot along. I think that's their point. Yeah. And they do it in a way that doesn't feel annoying. You're not sitting there and you're saying, oh, where's Cliff? Where's Jenny? And that's me. I'm always saying, where's Jenny? But you don't mind when they're on screen because they're moving things along.
Yeah. And also John Polito, who plays Bigelow, the mob boss.
Sure.
I mean, I don't know what it was like in the comic book, but to include him in the script as the muscle, and then eventually, he's like, I'm all American, baby. And he starts mowing down Nazis with a Tommy gun. That's even a good way to get the movie moving, I guess. So even the side characters played, I guess as far as moving the script of side characters, they did a good job. They didn't feel too tacked on.
Yeah, I mean, I think just piggybacking on that, what was it, the Paul Sorvino character, the mobster or whatever, you get the immediate knowledge that they're not great people, but when they're engaging with Neville Sinclair especially, and even before who Neville Sinclair truly is, you do see shades of likability to them. There's character details in their disagreements, debates, what have you, over who's doing what in the job and so on and so forth, that he has values or whatever. And you're right, that comes to a head when the common enemy is revealed, right? And they find themselves united against the Nazis, and he sort of comes to this affirmation that he's maybe not a good person, but he's an American, which actually is very reminiscent. I believe this came after the fact in a Batman comic. There was a plot line that involved the Joker dealing with terrorists or something to that effect. I don't recall the storyline exactly, but he has this pretty much the same throwaway line, which is I may be crazy, but I'm all American. It's it's very funny when what we'll use as devices to unite a very fractured country sometimes.
Yep. I'm not a Nazi.
Right. Well, unfortunately, that can't be said so much anymore in 2019. It's wild times, but that's neither here nor there.
I'm not a real Nazi.
Right. Yeah. That's the sad distinction we must make now.
Now, I want to talk about this before I forget, and this is towards the end. I have to do it. But so at the end, Jenny gets captured, but I'll talk about that later. I'll go on another tangent. So she gets captured. The Rocketeer shows up, right?
Sure.
And he's like, hey, you telling me you're a Nazi? Then they're like, yeah, you're a Nazi. So then all the mobsters pull their guns on the Nazis. And then the Nazis are like, well, we got you covered. And a bunch of Nazis come up behind them.
Right.
And I'm wondering, how did that happen? How did they have time to set up? And then all out of nowhere, massive lights turn on. And just to the immediate right of the Nazis, the feds are like, drop your weapons. And I'm sitting there going, how did the mobsters not know that they were the extra Nazis? And how did the extra Nazis not see the massive crew and lights and electrical units being pulled up to, this is very similar to our Jason Goes to Hell.
I was just about to say, you're recalling the same topic of conversation.
But how do they not know? How did they, I know it's a movie and it was a good plot beat. And it has a fun gunfight, and it adds Polito and the agent shooting together, which was awesome. But
right.
I mean, these Nazis are quite aloof.
Yeah, well, what? Maybe it's back to Neville Sinclair's point about it was acting, right? They're just that good. And acting also, if you're hiding, that counts, right?
Yeah.
You're pretending not to be there.
But why did those Nazis not say anything about the feds pulling up with massive lights?
It's dramatic effect. They wanted to make an entrance.
Oh, so Dalton knew they were there the whole time. He just wanted to be dramatic.
Absolutely. And then they get to show off the Zeppelin.
Yep. Which, even if they got the rocket pack, they could have just shot it with the airplane.
They could have shot...
blown up the Zeppelin.
Oh, yeah. I mean, well, wait, is this before or after the Hindenburg? I don't really understand. I don't know anyways, yeah, maybe. I think they make a point at some stage or some scene. They say, oh, one shot of this, it'll be up in flames or something like that.
Yeah, but they could shoot it from like 20 feet away.
Right. Well, I guess that's less heroic, right? You had to have Cliff don the pack and stand by the waving American flag and then pull out his pistol and then look to the sky before Paul Sorvino's character says, go get him, kid. And then the James Horner score swells and you feel proud to be an American all over again.
Horner had no time to do his score. Did you read about that?
I didn't, and that blows my damn mind because the guy is a hit factory, but that honestly may have been the most gorgeous love letter to flight. Like, I'm not one of those, like, oh, aviation types, but you listen to it even blind, not watching the movie, and there's something about it. That hangar scene in the beginning sets the stage perfectly, but there's something about it even without the visuals where you're just like, man was destined to touch the sky, and this is the song to do it. Like, I don't know what it is. There's something so perfectly nostalgic and aspirational about that theme. That's just the motifs used in it. It's just so beautiful.
So Hindenburg was 37. This takes place in 38. So I guess they knew about the Hindenburg.
Okay, well, that's helpful.
They should have used that music during Apollo 11, that documentary about Apollo 11 going to the moon. What do you think?
I haven't seen it, but I think any movie that wants to use this score is probably a better movie for it.
Do you own this score?
I actually don't, and it's funny you say that because that's one other bone to pick I have with this dang Disney man. This movie has gotten no love.
No love.
Absolutely no love. And, we can stand here all day talking for hours about the reasons it hasn't, but chief among them, you know me as a collector. I don't buy too many movies anymore, but the ones I do, I have are near and dear to my heart. So when I did force myself to buy this because I just had to have it, there's a 20th anniversary Blu-ray. All right, I'm thinking they must have done something. Mark, can you try for me? Tell me one thing on this Blu-ray 20th anniversary that I paid $20 for. Tell me one thing besides the movie itself that it has on it.
The trailer.
Not even. Nothing. Nothing. It says Disney Digital High Quality Sound. That's it. That's the 20th anniversary treatment for Rocketeer. So to your point about the score, I don't. If it's on vinyl, I'm sure there was a very limited pressing, and who knows how much that goes for. But yeah, this movie just has completely been mistreated, and that is a damn shame.
Now, you talk to people our age. What do they say about it? So I'm 30. Wait, how old am I?
I'm not going to date you here, but I'm 32.
I'm 36. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. You lose track after 35, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they love it, though, I think. Most people our age.
Who have been exposed to it.
Yeah.
I will say that there's still a very big majority of people, too big a majority of people that still have no idea what it is. And that's okay. That's fine. I think to know the movie, and that's very true here, I think to know the movie is to love it. I haven't talked to or heard from a single person who's like, oh yeah, Rocketeer, whatever. Like, no, there's no way.
This movie fits everything I kind of like. I like yarns. I like, tales of adventure. I like fisticuffs. And in this movie, there's some good fisticuffs. There's
a lot of fisticuffs. Actually, that's a good point because it's not a superhero movie. It's not a comic movie. It's not a genre movie. It's not a historical fiction movie. It's all of those things. It's a wonderful cocktail, really, of old serial adventures, a little bit of noir. It is a perfect sort of pie chart, I think. And maybe that's the problem. Maybe that's how the movie failed to market when it did come out because they didn't have that pegged down into one or two easy squares for people to sort of check off.
I guess, yeah, you're right. All right, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Joe Johnston's movie before this. He shrunk kids. I guess that's The Rocketeer. A dude battles Nazis, right? With a rocket pack.
Right, but I also think actually, I'm not sure. I haven't seen too many old ads for it, but I would be inclined to believe in Disney's best interests and perhaps the marketing purposes that they kept the Nazi element a secret until that was the movie. And I want to believe that was sort of a nice reveal because it is a ballsy move. I think even back then when things were a bit more when they took bigger chances, I think even then they realized I should probably make that the big reveal, might pay off better. But I actually don't know. Maybe there was overt advertising disclosing the true insidious nature of Neville Sinclair.
What do you think about Lothar?
Is Lothar the comically large henchman man that looks like he's from Dick Tracy?
Yeah, which came out a year later.